This is Amplify You, the podcast about you discovering your message and broadcasting it to the world. If you're a coach, author, or speaker, you'll want to tune in. If you're looking for the best return on your time investment to get your message out to the world in a bigger way, we're giving you full access and behind the scenes look of how we're running our podcast, how our clients have found success, and what you can do to launch your podcast today. The world needs your message. I'm Michelle Abraham, the host. Join my family as we unleash your unique genius and find the connections you need to launch your adventure today. Join us and let's get amplified.
That was great, by the way. You did a good job.
Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham here, your host. I am super excited to be here today. I am joined by a dear friend of mine, an up-and-coming podcaster, and she is, oh my gosh, she is a superstar in what she's up to in the world, and I'm super excited to introduce you to her. So today we're going to be doing an behind the mic interview with Kayala Lai, and I am so excited. She's got the up-and-coming podcast called the Conscious Hairdresser. So I just welcome Kayala. I'm so excited to have you here, and I can't wait to share more about what you're up to in this world with our audience today.
Wow, that was a great intro. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we haven't even dove into with so many things that you're doing that is super exciting. First of all, you are someone that came into my life within the last year or so through some mutual friends, and oh my gosh, just falling in love with what you're up to in this world. And you're just such an amazing person. And your podcast, I've seen this journey over the last year of it being birthed, and it's been really exciting for me to watch because your messaging has gotten so much more clear and so much more so powerful over the year. And you are also about to release in the next year or two to the public a documentary film that you did called Beyond Vanity. So take us on this journey right from the beginning. So what inspired you, first of all, to do a documentary movie and then now into a podcast?
Wow, that's a very good question. For me, when I started, experiencing different things or happening in the chair, which I call the University of Life, I just noticed that my clients were starting to share some deep secrets with me, things that they would normally not tell their partners, their parents, their best friends. And I'm just thinking, wow, I have a very important role. And with that realization, I didn't take it lightly. I took it quite, in a sense, seriously, where I'm like, how do I create this safe space for my clients? And from there, my clients and I just rose and grew together on a deeper level, which was very meaningful and purposeful. And so I just thought, I can't be the only person that experiences what I'm experiencing. So I just thought it'd be beautiful to be able to share what I've learned in the last 25 years of doing hair with others in terms of communication styles, energetics, because I also do energy work and all of that, but also finding more holistic ways of doing hair and hair color. So from there, I was like, how do I share myself? Because nobody will know my concepts. I'm a nobody in the world. And so at that time, my partner, Michael, was saying, I think you should make a movie. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. So here I'm like writing again, thinking that I'll probably just write a book or something. But there was an opportunity one day where I just knew that I was to make a movie. And I was walking a labyrinth up in Mount Shasta. And as I was walking the labyrinth, I was just kind of contemplating on life. And, halfway through the labyrinth, I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, this is half of my life. What am I going to do for the other half of my life? And, as I was walking towards that middle, I just saw the gravelly road, the windy, and, it's not smooth. And, you know, it was very actually quite challenging to get to halfway through my life. And I'm like, for sure, I want to walk with ease and grace. I want to be able to be meaningful and purposeful. And what would that be? If anyone's watching over me or guiding or protecting me, what would that be? And so, and I know it's not my imagination, but I did hear a voice, and the voice said, Mona, it's time to put your dreams into action. And when I heard that voice, I started bawling my eyes, because it was a cousin of mine that passed away probably like 3 to 6 months prior. And that's why I was going away, because I wanted to just have some time for myself. And she was like my little sister. And I just knew at that moment that it was a movie that I was to make. And that, you know, my passion is about, you know, my industry. Hairdressers are very powerful, and we have been unspoken of, underestimated, and undervalued. And it's really time that I step up. If not me, who? And who am I going to wait for? So I just knew at the core of my being that it was a movie to start this journey, to be able to share conscious hairdressing with the world, and how important it is that we have this opportunity to grow and rise with our clients. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So many great nuggets in there. And just, I just want to bring it back to our audience for a second here. Like, so you have been in a hairdresser for many, many years, over 25 years in your life. But what's so unique about what you do and what you've discovered is like not the rest of the industry doesn't really is not really awakened to this yet. And so what Mona does hair ceremonies with people. So it's not just a hair cutting, it's like a whole ceremony. And it's a beautiful, my daughter had her very first haircut done by Mona. I've had a hair ceremony with several hair ceremonies with Mona. It's just a beautiful experience. And once you experience it once, you'll never go back to a busy salon that smells like chemicals. And, it's just one of those things that it's just beautiful what you do. And I love how you've taken this craft of a skill that, it's a pretty common thing, having a hairdressing and having your hair cut is something that's a necessity for all of us. And you've just taken it and turned it into this like such a magical experience for people. And I love the mission that you're on to inspire the rest of your industry to rise up to this level that you've created with what you're doing. So I know the movie is a beginning of this journey. What's your hope? Like, what's your vision for the conscious hairdressers?
Wow. Thank you. The vision for the Conscious Hairdresser is really to have a united nations of conscious hairdressers. For the ones that are like, this is not working for me, these chemicals, standing all day, not eating lunch, always giving, and no time for myself, having carpal tunnel, ulcers, eczema, illnesses, because of our industry and how our mindset is. I really feel like having this hub, this united nation of conscious hairdressers will make this world a better place. And, if you think about it, each hairstylist has about average 100 clients. And so 100 clients is a lot of people. And can you imagine if, we are that one drop of water that creates that ripple effect, other people will get affected. And I heard that there's a tipping point, is it 1.44 billion people to create this tipping point to create peace and consciousness in this world. And so I just thought, hey, that might just do the job, along with all the other people that are, just waking up and creating beauty in this world as well. Like, let's just start with this angle in hairdressers. And so, I think that we have a huge opportunity to be able to remind human beings that are sitting on our chair, our clients, how just perfect they are, to be able to see right through the superficiality, their masks, their fear, and be able to let them know, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, and you're not alone. And, really, I can I can feel their gifts and who they truly are. And so if we can all kind of just get ourselves out of the way and, just be in service, and be that conduit for that person, so that they can bring themselves out, to remind themselves of who they are and how they can walk out in this world, walk out from the chair, with this new identity that they're going to bring in. So, which comes to mind right now, that there is a ceremony I do called Rise, and it's a hair cutting ceremony. So in Hong Kong and China, in Asia, we cut our hair before Chinese New Year's to, in hopes of cutting the old crap off from last year and start off with hope for the new beginning, for the new year. So that week before Chinese New Year's, especially the day before, we cut our hair, and we can't cut our hair on the day of and the after. It's super unlucky because you're cutting away all the great things that you just prayed to come in. So I decided that,
Right.
we don't have to wait to Chinese New Year's. We can do that every haircut. And often my clients would say, why does my hair feel 10 pounds lighter? And I'm like, I only cut a few ounces off. But I realize it's not just the physical I'm cutting the intention, the emotional, the energetics. And that's what we're cutting off. That is why we feel so light. And so that's when I started to understand energy. And if you think about it, the forensic scientist can take one piece of hair and tell you what age, ethnicity, gender, and all of that, cortisol levels, medicine levels, and so much more. Our hair holds our ancestral DNA. That's why we are the texture we are, the color that we are, and it's just like so much information that is constantly being recorded in the hair. That's what's so cool about it, because
it's so fascinating. Yeah.
It is fascinating. It's been unspoken of. We know that scientists have done this. We know that hair stores energy and information. And as a matter of fact, it's silica. Silica is a type of crystal, and crystals hold energy and information. Perhaps that's the reason. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but all I know is when I cut hair and we put intention into it, it's like a milestone, like maybe even a start of an initiation, a huge transformation, like almost like a rites of passage, that I was just like, this is not a coincidence. It happens over and over and over again. What is happening here? I didn't come here just to make someone look pretty, take their money and say goodbye. Oh my gosh, I'm here to grow and rise with my clients for possibly a lifetime.
Wow, that's so incredible. And I love how, I can tell everyone on this episode that I've had the pleasure of having a sneak preview of the movie, and it's so incredible. You could travel all over the world to find out what these rituals are and what's happening in the rest of the world, in the beauty industry, and it's so many cool things that you've learned and seen in different cultures and different areas of the world that you kind of put all together in this ceremony that you do. Is just totally incredible. And I know every time I have a ceremony with you, my hair, like you said, it's like you feel so much lighter. Like it's crazy. Like the difference in how your hair feels. It's just, to me, that's like one of the most interesting things. And my daughter, I saw this with her when you cut her hair. Like she actually became like a different person in like an interesting way. Like it was just her first haircut ever. So she had hair down to like her beyond her waist, and she cut her hair up to her chin. All on her own doing, by the way. Like this was with you. You didn't coach her to do it. I didn't coach her to do it. You were just asking her what she wanted. And she cut her hair all the way up to her chin. And for the next, it's still now, she like became a different person. Her attitude, her confidence, her just a more outgoingness. Like it was so interesting to see that she was ready to let go of that hair that had been with her since she was born. It was just an incredible experience to see what her changes were after one of those ceremonies. So super cool. Do you experience that with obviously that's an extreme case, but first haircut, but you said that you noticed some things that your clients have said some things to you. What are some of the things that your clients have experienced?
Wow. Well, first of all, I want to just say I want to cry when I hear that, because it's so beautiful to hear her experience of her first haircut. And honestly, it's one of my most memorable haircuts, you know, cutting your hair on the beach that time in front of the water, cutting her hair in front of the water, you know, like on this lake. I love doing outdoor haircuts. It's so amazing doing it in
Yeah,
nature.
it
It's
was really
beautiful.
cool in nature. Yeah. And she was, and then we blessed her hair as we drove in a boat and she let her hair go. And she talks about that. I mean, she was 4 years old, 25 at the time. She was a few months before she turned 5. But she talks about that still like years later, that how she blessed her hair and let her hair go. It's so cute.
Wow. And so, as I said, it is like a rites of passage, especially her first haircut.
Mm.
You know, it is a blessing, it is a milestone. It's just so crazy. And it really is an initiation for a new chapter in life. So what I experience with my clients sometimes is, you know, when we do the rise ceremony, and I call it a ceremony, first of all, because when you do something consistently, it becomes a ritual. And when you have something so special, it's sacred. And so a sacred ritual, it's really a ceremony. And so why not make it a ceremony? Why not make it, in a sense, a formal? Because human beings like are so busy these days that we have no time for self-care. We barely put time into self-care. And so when they make this appointment, I call it a divine appointment, because finally they come and make this appointment for themselves, nobody else. They're sitting in this chair, and finally they get a chance to be one-on-one with someone that's going to take care of them and nourish them. So what an opportunity I get. And so with the ceremony, I call it rise because, of course, I want to rise with my clients, and that's my intention. And the R in rise is release, releasing what no longer serves the person, where they're relaxed and rejuvenating, you know. And then the second thing is, after the release, the I in rise is inviting. So they're inviting what's, you know, like now that they've got space and they release all their crap, they have the space to think, oh, what do I actually want in my life? Who am I? You know, like, and usually they describe, you know, in 3 to 5 words, their new being, their new identity, because hair is much, you know, kind of our identity. You know, we are identified by our hair. And so they get really clear. It's like these 3 to 5 words will describe you when people meet you for the first time, or when you look at yourself in the mirror. And so it's beautiful because they get clear. It's like, oh, wow, I never thought I would be, you know, sexy, or, you know, confident, you know, or whatever it is that they say. And I was just like, wow, that's beautiful, because when they get clear, it's like these aha moments, you know. So when they describe those words, that's one thing. And then the next thing they describe is like, what do I want in my life? You know, it's like, actually, I'm not happy with my job. You know, I'm not happy with my partner. Like, I hear all this stuff, and it's just like, I'm not telling them what. I'm just here to remind them of who they are. And just these miracles, in a sense, come through where they get clarity. And sometimes, you know, and a lot of times I would say there's a lot of tears, you know, in the chair. And it's really hard sometimes, you know, for me to even like hold space in a way for these beautiful human beings that are sitting in my chair, because it's like, I hear you, I understand you, I see you, and I feel you, you know. And so, you know, I hear about abuse, sexual abuse. I hear, you know, about so much struggling, so much just merely surviving, you know. And for me, that's what makes me be more powerful. Like, it just makes me so passionate about wanting to, you know, help more, not help, but, you know, help facilitate, let's just say, you know, experiences like this, because this is an opportunity for people to step into their power, to step into their clarity, so they step into their new chapter and they can make choices and changes in their life for the better. Yeah, it's crazy. It gets me
Yeah.
very emotional sometimes just talking about this.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
bet. I mean, you have such a sacred space, and to regard in that way, I think is really amazing what you've done and created the rise ceremony around it, because, you know, it is not just like a transaction at the chair at a salon, right? It's a whole, it's you know, it's a rite of passage, like you said. And there's just, you know, so many things that go on in that chair that's just super powerful and amazing. So I love how you are on this mission to inspire other hairdressers to kind of look at what they're doing in their chair is as a way of healing, almost healing the world and healing people as they're you know, inspiring that self-care in them, so that they can, you know, when I always say this on a parenting podcast that I host all the time, is that, you know, when we are taking care of ourselves, then we're able to then take care of our families. And what a better world we would all live in if it all started at the home with ourselves, and then we were growing and taking care of ourselves and taking care then of our kids and our families, and kids were growing up, and with that, just that, you know, beginning with ourselves in mind, right? And I know for myself, even definitely included in that, it's hard to take the time in a busy day-to-day stuff for that, for ourselves, and to nurture ourselves, yet it's so important. And you know, so I appreciate that time and that space that you have for your audience. Is just so cool. So what do you see with the podcast? And you have a movie coming out this year, and then the podcast. And so how is the podcast fitting in with your vision and your with what you're up to in this world?
Mm. Well, the podcast is really to create awareness that there is such thing as conscious hairdressing. There is such thing as hairdressers that care, that can make a huge difference in people's lives, to almost like, it's like the start codon to your new chapter. And so the podcast will not only share the film and, you know, the conscious hairdressing aspect and the movement of going beyond vanity, which is really about self-care. And, you know, what you're saying earlier, you know, when there's an opportunity for self-care, really there's an opportunity for self-discovery, then self-realization, then self-acceptance, and perhaps self-love, which is the ultimate goal, you know, for me, for my clients, because to just love myself, that took a long time. And to love, for someone to love themselves, like it's our society, and you know, our upbringing has been always a race. It's always been a competition where, you know, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough for anyone, I'm never going to be rich enough, I'm never going to be whatever enough, I'm never enough, period. And so, you know, when it comes down to self-care and self-acceptance and eventually self-love, it's like we finally get to this place that I'm not as bad as people think I am, or say I am, or said I was, you know, when I was a child. And so it's almost like I got to reset all the new patterns now. And so this is kind of one thing that I really believe Beyond Vanity, the film, is going to do, is to remind people that, you know, it's not so bad. And, you know, as an example, in the movie, I share how you know, was born with small eyes, and I was told I was ugly, you know, and so all my life I just thought, oh, I'm just ugly. That's just a normal thing. I'm born with it. But, you know, when it came down to being a teenager, it started to affect me, that it was like a handicap, and that I was less than, and I was more of an observer, and I never was able to, you know, speak my voice or share it. I wasn't even worthy of it. That's how I thought, because I'm ugly and I'm not like everybody else, and I'm definitely handicapped. And so, you know, throughout the movie, I, you know, step into, you know, my passions, and, you know, and that's, you know, being a hairdresser gave me the, in a sense, green light that I'm better than what I think I am. And my craft actually was what gave me validation. I can't say when I first went into hairdressing, I was all about people. I was more about the looks, and I really went in for vanity. I just didn't really even care about the person that was sitting in my chair. You know, these old ladies in hair school, right? I would say, oh, these old ladies in hair school, they all look the same. They all say the same thing over and over again every week, and it goes in one ear and comes out the other, you know, and I really didn't care, you know. And it wasn't until later that, you know, when I was, you know, pregnant with my child, you know, that it just, dawned on me that I was overworking one day, and I had these little, believe it or not, Zeds at the side of my eyes, and I was feeling dizzy and very nauseous. And I never excused myself from my clients, but I had to. And when I went to the staff room and I sat down, I was like so mad at myself. I was so mad because I was just like, Mona, Kayala, Mona at that time, AKA, you know, I was so mad because I had just had a banana, ran to work, you know, in my car, you know, knowing that I was going to have a 12 to 16-hour day. And, you know, I was actually 5 months pregnant at that time. And I call this my awakening moment. And that's when the Conscious Hairdresser was born, you know, where it's just like, I not only did not eat, I was wearing high heels, you know, still pregnant, running around, you know, working 10 to 16 hours, 7 days a week. I used to own 2 salons, and I would have 3 to 5 clients in at the same time. It's just like so much. The eczema on my hands was so painful that I could barely sleep. Around my eyes, I look like an old lady sometimes. Like I could barely even like close them. And when people look at me, I look tired and old, like a raisin, you know? And so I was just like, I got to do something about this. So really my son, Marcus, my first son, was my savior, because I had an excuse and an opportunity to stay home and stop working so much and have time to reflect upon what I was doing. And honestly, it took 3 kids for me to wake up, because I went back to sleep. And then it was like a little nap. And then I had my second child. And then it was like, I went back and I had to do it again. And really, it took a 3rd time for me to actually say, stay this way, stay present with my clients, stay focused in my promise to my body, you know, and the body is so important. And I remember a very wise one once told me that we have one body and one body for the rest of our lives. You know, our main purpose is to take care of our body, and the rest will happen for us. So since then I have, thank you. Yeah. And since then I've just been focused, you know, on doing that, and reminding my clients that, you know, when we start doing that, life will happen for us. And I've experienced that. We don't have to worry so much. We can live lighter every day. And it's not as serious as we think.
Yeah, what a gift to kind of understand that and be able to slow down and see that. I think that's truly amazing. And now you're blazing the trail for so many others to follow. So, Kayala, I just love this time you shared with us today. It's been so impactful, so amazing. And I know so many people out there just love hearing the why behind what you're doing, and why you're doing this show, this podcast, and this film, and really leading the charge in this conscious hairdressing movement. So with that being said, how can our audience, they want to interview you, find out more about you, work with you, have a hair ceremony with you, how can they reach out to you? Where's the best place to find out more information?
I think you just find me on Facebook and Instagram, The Conscious Hairdresser, or my website, theconscioushairdresser.com. That would be the best way.
Awesome. Guys, I just reach out. It's so amazing, especially if you're local in the lower mainland of BC and up in Canada here. You might be in the same neighborhood and you might be able to have a real live hair ceremony, which is super special. And in the meantime, you know, spread the word to your friends who are hairdressers, those are in the beauty industry and want to, you know, kind of check out what Kayala's up to. That would be so amazing. So again, it's the Conscious Hairdresser on Facebook, Instagram, and the conscioushairdresser.ca. Is that right?
.com.
Oh, .com. Okay. Conscioushairdresser.com. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And I love spending time with you no matter where it is. And so thank you for sharing your time with us today. And Amplify You family, reach out, go follow her on social media, see the adventure that she's about to embark on and the world that she's about to change with her mission and her message. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. That was fun.
You're welcome.